In the land east of Eden, where blood once cried from the ground, where the very soil seemed to remember a primal sin, a man walked not away from God, but toward him. This is the tale not of the righteous, but of a cursed bloodline, a lineage stained by the first murder. This is the story of a forbidden book, a scroll deemed too dangerous, too revelatory, to be part of the sacred canon. And this is the profound truth of the divine that chose to speak through the unlikely, a voice from the very edge of human darkness. Before the flood, before Moses heard the thunder on Sinai, before the Gospels illuminated the path of grace, there was Enoch. Not the Enoch whose name you might vaguely recall, but a different Enoch. Enoch, son of Cain. His story has been largely forgotten, his book banished, his voice silenced by centuries of selective teaching. But what if his message, once deemed too controversial, holds keys to understanding our own origins, the true nature of evil, and God's enduring grace? Prepare to journey into the shadows of forgotten history, to uncover truths that challenge our deepest assumptions, and to rediscover a divine whisper from a lineage you never expected. This is the story they didn't want you to hear. The biblical narrative can sometimes be like a vast, ancient tapestry, with certain threads intricately woven, while others, just as vital, remain hidden or overlooked. Most people, when they hear the name Enoch in the Bible, think of Enoch, son of Jared, Genesis 5:21-24, the righteous man who walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. His story is a beacon of faith. But the Bible speaks of another Enoch, one whose lineage begins with a stain. Enoch, the son of Cain, Genesis 4:17. He is the forgotten Enoch, the one rarely preached from pulpits, the one whose very existence complicates our neat theological boxes. Why has Enoch, son of Cain, been largely erased from modern teaching? Perhaps it's uncomfortable. He represents a paradox, a descendant of the world's first murderer, yet intimately connected to the rise of early civilization and, as we'll see, a profound moment of divine revelation. His story challenges a simplistic view of good and evil, suggesting that even from a cursed lineage, divine purpose can emerge. His forgetting speaks volumes about our human tendency to simplify complex narratives, to neatly categorize individuals and bloodlines as solely good or evil, overlooking the intricate ways in which God's plan unfolds through unexpected channels. What does it say about our spiritual comfort zones when we choose to forget uncomfortable truths? The legacy of Cain begins with the infamous mark of Cain. After Cain murdered his brother Abel, God declared, "You shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth." Cain feared for his life, and the Lord put a mark on him, lest anyone finding him should kill him. Genesis chapter 4, 14-15. What was this mark? Contrary to popular misconception, it was not a curse meant to visibly shame or ostracize Cain, but a sign of divine protection, a testament to God's mercy, even in the face of heinous sin. It was a boundary set by God, preventing immediate retaliation and demonstrating his ultimate sovereignty over life and death, even in the immediate aftermath of humanity's first act of murder. This mark offers a profound lesson in divine justice intertwined with divine mercy. While Cain faced consequences for his actions, banishment, perpetual wandering, a disconnect from the soil, he was not abandoned to unchecked vengeance. God, in his infinite wisdom, established a precedent for justice that included elements of both punishment and preservation. This challenges our often black and white understanding of judgment. It teaches us that even in profound brokenness, God's hand can provide unexpected grace, a boundary for consequences that allows for continued existence. It shows that God's plan for humanity's future wasn't entirely derailed by sin. Rather, it adapted, demonstrating his enduring commitment to creation, even through the offspring of a murderer. How does understanding God's mercy towards Cain reshape your view of divine justice and grace? One of the most persistent and often perplexing questions in early Genesis is, where did Cain's wife come from? If Adam and Eve were the first humans, and Cain murdered Abel, who was left for Cain to marry? This question often leads to theological gymnastics or dismissive shrugs, yet the answer is plainly stated, though easily missed, in Genesis 5:4. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. This seemingly simple verse is a powerful key. Adam and Eve had numerous children beyond Cain, Abel, and Seth. Cain married one of his sisters, or a niece, from the subsequent generations of Adam and Eve's ever-growing progeny. This detailed understanding, while perhaps uncomfortable for modern sensibilities, was a necessity in the nascent stages of humanity's proliferation. It reminds us that early biblical accounts are often more direct and practical than we allow, and that our modern moral frameworks, e.g. against sibling marriage, cannot be retroactively applied without historical context. Furthermore, this detail highlights the astonishing fertility and rapid population growth of early humanity. This wasn't a small, isolated family, but a burgeoning community, capable of expanding quickly across the earth. It dismisses the common misconception that humanity began as a tiny, perpetually vulnerable group. Understanding this allows us to move past superficial questions and delve into the deeper dynamics of early human society and population spread, laying the groundwork for the rise of cities and civilizations. What common biblical questions have you dismissed that might hold profound, yet simple answers when re-examined? It was Cain, the first city builder, who constructed a city and named it after his son, Enoch, Genesis 4:17. The very name Enoch, Hebrew Hanvokh, Hanok, means dedicated, initiated, or trained. This is a powerful symbolic name for the son of a cursed lineage and for the first city built by humanity. It speaks of a new beginning, a dedicated effort to create order and a new way of life in the post-Edenic world, even amidst the backdrop of primal sin. Enoch, the city, represents a monumental shift for the cursed bloodline of Cain. Instead of perpetual wandering, they sought to establish permanence, structure, and a collective identity. This city was not merely a physical dwelling. It was a symbol of Cain's attempt to move beyond the curse of being a fugitive and a vagabond. It was an act of carving out a new reality, an aspiration for stability and redemption through human endeavor. In a paradoxical twist, a name meaning dedicated was given to the offspring of the first murderer, suggesting that even in the lineage of sin, there was an inherent drive toward order, structure, and perhaps a subconscious yearning for something more. This is the first ripple of humanity trying to build a new destiny for itself, a stark contrast to the nomadic existence that marked the very beginning of the post-fall world. How do we, in our modern cities, still seek redemption or a new beginning through human constructs? The city of Enoch wasn't just a collection of dwellings, it marked the emergence of the world's first civilization. This was a pivotal moment in human history, laying the groundwork for organized society, communal living, and structured existence beyond the nomadic family unit model. While modern archaeology points to ancient cities like Ur or Jericho as early urban centers, the biblical narrative places Enoch's city as the very first, a foundational archetype. This isn't merely a point of trivia. The significance of this first civilization lies in its profound implications for human development. It speaks to the emergence of social organization, architectural ingenuity, and formalized communal rules. People learned to live together in close proximity, necessitating systems of governance, resource management, and conflict resolution. This represented an explosion of human ingenuity and a strategic response to the challenges of survival outside of Eden. It shows a rapid advancement from simple nomadic life to complex societal structures, demonstrating humanity's innate capacity for innovation and cooperation, even within a lineage marked by sin. It laid the foundation for trade, specialization, and the complex interdependencies that characterize all human societies, marking a fundamental turning point in human social evolution. What hidden lessons about human cooperation and organization are embedded in the story of the very first city? The lineage of Cain, despite its cursed origin, ironically became the cradle of an astonishing cultural explosion. Genesis chapter 4, 20-22 highlights the descendants of Lamech from Cain's line. Jabal became the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock, pioneering organized agriculture and pastoralism. Jubal was the father of all those who play the lyre and pipe, inventing music and instrumental arts. Tubal-Cain was an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron, mastering metallurgy and advanced craftsmanship. These were not isolated inventions. They represented the first industrial revolution described in the Bible. This lineage pioneered the foundational elements of civilization: agriculture for sustained living, music for culture and expression, and metalworking for tools, weapons, and construction. They were the innovators, the artists, the engineers of the ancient world. This profound creative surge from Cain's line challenges our simplistic notions of good and bad lineages. It suggests that even in a line disconnected from direct divine favor, the innate human capacity for creativity, ingenuity, and progress flourished. It reminds us that innovation can arise from unexpected places, driven by necessity, desire, and the intrinsic human drive to build and create. This era of explosive creativity set the stage for all future human development, shaping societies in ways that still resonate today. What do these ancient innovations tell us about humanity's intrinsic drive to create and progress, even in a fallen world? The biblical narrative then subtly yet powerfully introduces a great divide: the emergence of two distinct human lineages, carrying profound implications for faith and societal development. There was Cain's line, characterized by its focus on civilization, innovation, and material progress, cities, music, metalworking. And then there was Seth's line, tracing its ancestry from Adam through Seth, Genesis 4, 25-26, emphasizing a return to spiritual purity and direct communion with God. Seth's lineage is where people began to call on the name of the Lord, marking a conscious re-engagement with the divine. This divergence created a fundamental tension between faith and worldly progress. Cain's line, built outward, focused on human achievement and self-reliance. Seth's line, built inward, focused on spiritual connection and reverence. This ancient divide foreshadows patterns we still see in modern religious culture: the tension between those who prioritize societal engagement and scientific advancement versus those who emphasize spiritual purity and detachment from worldly pursuits. The Great Divide prompts us to ask, can spiritual devotion and societal progress truly coexist, or are they destined for perpetual conflict? The early split illustrates how humanity fragmented not just geographically, but spiritually and culturally, setting the stage for different worldviews that would ultimately lead to the cataclysm of the flood. How do you see this ancient divide between faith and progress playing out in our modern world, and what might be the consequences? Amidst the burgeoning civilization and the cultural explosion of Cain's line, the very man for whom the first city was named, Enoch, son of Cain, likely faced a profound inner conflict. As a leader in this burgeoning society, he would have been immersed in the triumphs of human ingenuity, the bustling markets, the melodies of new instruments, the glint of crafted metal. he would have witnessed the external markers of success and power within his lineage. Yet, amidst these accomplishments, could he have felt a deep spiritual emptiness, a yearning for something beyond human achievement, a whisper of the divine that his bloodline had largely abandoned? This psychological analysis suggests a universal human struggle, the tension between external achievement and internal spiritual fulfillment. Think of modern leaders or highly successful individuals who, despite immense worldly success, grapple with a profound sense of meaninglessness or spiritual void. Their lives are outwardly impressive, yet inwardly parched. Enoch, as a figure from a lineage focused on material and cultural progress, likely faced this very dilemma. His eventual turning towards God suggests a powerful realization that true satisfaction cannot be found in human constructs alone, but in divine connection. This provides a poignant lesson. True leadership and lasting fulfillment require more than power and accomplishment. They demand a spiritual grounding that transcends the temporal. How do you navigate the balance between worldly achievement and spiritual fulfillment in your own life, seeking a path that prevents inner emptiness? The turning point for Enoch, son of Cain, was a profound spiritual awakening, a mourning on the walls of his own city. Imagine him, a leader within the robust, self-sufficient civilization of Cain's line, looking out from the city walls. Perhaps he saw the grandeur of human achievement, but beyond it, the vastness of creation, the silent stars, and felt an unshakable longing. This was his moment of spiritual epiphany, a conscious decision to seek God despite his lineage, despite his worldly success. This wasn't a casual interest. It was a deep, consuming pursuit, akin to the profound mystical experiences of later prophets and patriarchs. This experience places Enoch, son of Cain, in a spiritual lineage not of blood, but of divine encounter. His seeking mirrors the profound quest of mystics like Moses on Mount Sinai, who yearned to see God's glory, or Elijah, who heard God's whisper in the gentle breeze. It's the moment when external accomplishments fade and the soul cries out for ultimate truth. Enoch's awakening is a powerful testament to the fact that spiritual hunger can arise from any lineage, any background, anywhere. It reminds us that God's reach extends even to those seemingly farthest from him, initiating a profound internal transformation that transcends outward circumstances. What mourning on the walls moment in your life led you to seek a deeper connection with the divine, beyond what your surroundings offered? As Enoch began to seek God, he was met not with judgment, but with divine revelation and angelic mentorship. According to the book of Enoch, it was the archangel Uriel, whose name means light of God or fire of God, who became his guide. Uriel, often associated with wisdom, knowledge, and cosmic order, revealed profound truths to Enoch, leading him through visions of the heavens and the mysteries of creation. This direct angelic mentorship elevates Enoch's journey beyond mere human intellectual pursuit. It signifies a divine appointment and a special anointing for extraordinary revelation. A common mistake is to view angels solely as instruments of punishment or distant ethereal beings with no direct interaction with human spiritual growth. Uriel's role as a guide for Enoch dismantles this limited view. He represents a direct personal channel of divine knowledge and spiritual instruction. This interaction highlights that God uses various means, including angelic beings, to communicate profound truths to humanity, especially to those who earnestly seek him. It underscores the idea that spiritual growth is not always a solitary journey, but often involves divine assistance and supernatural guidance. It emphasizes the active, involved nature of the spiritual realm in human affairs. What unexpected guides or sources of wisdom have appeared in your life, leading you towards deeper spiritual understanding? Guided by Uriel, Enoch was granted access to visions of hidden realms and forbidden knowledge, revelations that transcended ordinary human comprehension. He saw the structure of the heavens, the celestial bodies moving in perfect order, the divine throne room, the secrets of the cosmos, and even the intricate details of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. These were not merely abstract images. They were profound insights into the divine order of the universe, revealing the mechanics of creation, the nature of angels, and the unfolding of prophetic time. The Book of Enoch details these complex visions, often presenting knowledge that later became foundational to Jewish mysticism and early Christian eschatology. But a crucial lesson emerges from these revelations: the profound danger of knowledge without morality. Enoch saw the order of the cosmos, the power of divine principles, and the workings of creation. However, he also witnessed the consequences of this knowledge being misused, as we'll explore shortly. The visions themselves were sacred, yet when mishandled, when applied without divine wisdom and ethical grounding, profound knowledge can lead to catastrophic results. This foreshadows a recurring theme in human history: great power or insight, when divorced from compassion and integrity, invariably leads to disaster. What wisdom have you gained that, if misused, could lead to negative consequences, and how do you ensure it is guided by ethical principles? Enoch's visions also revealed a shocking truth about the spiritual realm: the rebellion of the Watchers. These were a group of angels, referred to in Genesis 6:1-4 as sons of God, who descended to earth, taking human wives and corrupting humanity by teaching forbidden arts and creating monstrous offspring. According to the Book of Enoch, these Watchers, led by figures like Azazel and Shemihazah, transgressed divine boundaries, driven by lust and pride. This narrative, while ancient and mystical, resonates with parallels in otherworld mythologies. Think of the Greek Titans, powerful primordial beings who rebelled against the Olympian gods, or the Sumerian Anunnaki, divine beings who, in some interpretations, interacted directly with early humanity, impacting their knowledge and development. These cross-cultural myths suggest a universal memory of powerful, non-human entities influencing early human history. The Watcher's fall highlights a critical theme: that not all powerful beings are benevolent, and that even those in positions of great authority can succumb to corruption, leading to widespread chaos. Their descent wasn't just a personal failing. It had profound, devastating consequences for humanity, ushering in an era of unparalleled wickedness. What does the story of the Watchers tell us about the dangers of unchecked power and pride, even in the spiritual realm? The most infamous offspring of the Watchers and human women were the Nephilim, the giants of Genesis 6:4. The Book of Enoch provides a terrifying description of these beings, not merely tall men, but massive, rapacious entities, hybrid creatures born of a forbidden union between heavenly and earthly beings. They were violent, insatiable, and their existence profoundly corrupted the early earth, leading to widespread bloodshed and spiritual pollution. A common mistake is to interpret the Nephilim as purely symbolic, representing moral depravity or merely powerful earthly rulers. However, the ancient texts, particularly Enoch, describe them as very real, physical entities of immense size and destructive power. Their presence was a tangible manifestation of the forbidden knowledge and unnatural unions that resulted from the Watchers' rebellion. Their existence underscores the severity of the spiritual corruption that gripped the pre-flood world, making the subsequent divine judgment comprehensible. The Nephilim narrative emphasizes that spiritual transgressions often have tangible, horrifying consequences in the physical realm, leading to a world consumed by violence and moral decay. Their story serves as a stark warning about the dangers of tampering with divine order and the profound impact of spiritual warfare on human existence. What does the literal understanding of the Nephilim mean for our view of spiritual warfare and its impact on the physical world today? The Watchers' rebellion wasn't just about procreating with humans. It was fundamentally about teaching humanity forbidden knowledge, insights that, in their unguided state, became weapons. Enoch reveals how figures like Azazel taught humans the art of making weapons, cosmetics, and divination. Barakiel taught astrology. Other angels taught magical incantations, root-cutting, and the art of observation of the stars for illicit purposes. While these might seem benign or even beneficial, in the context of a fallen world, this wisdom was a poisonous gift. Humanity, unequipped with divine morality and spiritual guidance, used this knowledge for destruction, self-indulgence, and further spiritual corruption. This is a powerful lesson for all ages. Knowledge without ethical guidance becomes a curse. It's not the knowledge itself that is inherently evil, but its application when divorced from divine wisdom, compassion, and integrity. Think of our modern world. Nuclear technology can power cities or destroy them. Genetic engineering can cure diseases or create designer babies. Artificial intelligence can solve complex problems or be used for surveillance and control. The tools themselves are neutral, but their use depends entirely on the moral compass of those who wield them. The Watcher's teaching highlights humanity's susceptibility to misuse powerful information, turning gifts into destructive forces. It's a call to profound spiritual discernment and a reminder that true wisdom always walks hand in hand with righteousness and divine purpose. What knowledge or power do you possess that requires careful ethical guidance to prevent it from becoming a curse? Amidst the spiraling corruption and the reign of the Nephilim, Enoch was granted a terrifying yet profoundly empathetic vision: the coming flood. He saw God's impending judgment, not just as an act of wrath, but as a painful necessity born of divine love and sorrow for a creation that had been utterly corrupted. It was a judgment steeped in tears, a desperate measure to preserve a remnant of humanity and prevent total annihilation of the divine order on earth. Enoch was not just a prophet of doom, he was a prophet of divine sorrow, witnessing the heartbreaking consequences of humanity's choices. This vision of the flood, born of love as much as judgment, offers a sobering parallel to the human-made catastrophes threatening our modern world. Climate change, fueled by unchecked industrialization and disregard for the planet, threatens ecological collapse. Perpetual wars and conflicts, driven by greed and power, create humanitarian crises of immense scale. Nuclear proliferation looms, a constant reminder of humanity's capacity for self-destruction. These are not merely natural disasters. They are, in many ways, the result of humanity's collective fallenness, our misuse of knowledge, and our spiritual disconnect. Enoch's vision reminds us that when humanity deviates too far from divine principles, severe consequences inevitably follow. But it also carries a glimmer of hope that even in judgment, there is a path for preservation, for a new beginning for those who walk with God. What human-made crises do you see as a call for humanity to return to divine wisdom and compassion? Despite its profound revelations and its influence on early Jewish and Christian thought, the Book of Enoch mysteriously disappears from most mainstream Bibles. Why was this pivotal text banned by the Church? The reasons are complex, multi-layered, and often steeped in the political and theological power struggles of early Christianity. Enoch's detailed descriptions of fallen angels, the Nephilim, and complex celestial hierarchies often conflicted with developing orthodox doctrines, particularly concerning Christology and the nature of evil. Its emphasis on angelic revelations might have been seen as a threat to the authority of human clergy or the established scriptural canon. Furthermore, its apocalyptic nature, while potent, may have been deemed too destabilizing or prone to misinterpretation in a consolidating church. This banning of Enoch reflects a broader pattern in history, the suppression of texts or ideas that challenge prevailing power structures or established narratives. Think of other lost books, the Gospel of Thomas, with its emphasis on esoteric sayings of Jesus, the Book of Jubilees, which offers alternative interpretations of Genesis, or countless Gnostic texts. These books were often rejected not because they were inherently false, but because they did not fit the emerging theological framework, or because their ideas threatened the control of central religious authorities. This process of canonization, while vital for establishing scriptural authority, also inadvertently created blind spots, erasing voices and perspectives that could offer richer, more nuanced understandings. What does the Church's historical suppression of Enoch tell us about the complex interplay of power, politics, and divine revelation throughout history? Amidst the widespread suppression of Enoch and other ancient texts, a remarkable testament to faithfulness and preservation emerges from an unexpected corner of the world, Ethiopia. While the Book of Enoch largely disappeared from Western and even Jewish canons, it was meticulously preserved and revered by the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. For centuries, in their ancient Ge'ez language, this marginalized church faithfully guarded and incorporated Enoch into their sacred scriptures, integrating its profound revelations into their theology and liturgy. Ethiopia's enduring fidelity to these texts stands in stark contrast to the selective processes of other traditions. It speaks volumes about the power of an isolated yet deeply devout community to protect and transmit sacred knowledge across millennia. In a world saturated with fleeting information and sensationalized news, Ethiopia's story is a powerful reminder of how easily truth can be lost or distorted when it doesn't align with dominant narratives. Their story is a living testament to the fact that genuine revelation can be found in unexpected places, often preserved by those who, by the world's standards, are considered marginal. It compels us to consider how our own modern information ecosystem, with its rapid cycles and echo chambers, might inadvertently be killing profound truths by prioritizing speed and convenience over depth and historical integrity. What lessons can we learn from Ethiopia's unwavering preservation of ancient texts about the true nature of faith and the enduring power of revelation? Bible-style conclusion. The final word. And Enoch walked with God, even from the cursed lineage of Cain. He walked with God, seeing what others could not, hearing what others would not, daring to receive revelations that spanned the cosmos and unveiled the very heart of both darkness and divine sorrow. And then he was not, for God took him, a mystery wrapped in glory. But his voice was not lost. His visions live still. His words, once buried in the dust of forgotten scrolls, now rise like the morning sun, illuminating the shadows of our past and challenging the assumptions of our present. So, what do we do with this knowledge? This story of a man from a cursed bloodline, chosen by the divine, whose book was banned by the church. Do we silence it again, consigning it back to the depths of obscurity? Or do we, like Enoch, dare to walk with God, despite our own perceived imperfections, our own cursed blood of human failings, our own place in a world grappling with ancient sins? If this truth stirred something in you like it did in me, a profound sense of wonder, a challenge to your understanding, a yearning for deeper spiritual truth, then please share this story. Leave a comment below with your insights and reflections, and join me in the next video, where we dig deeper into the forgotten books, the sacred whispers that echo through time, revealing truths too wild for common canon.